Imagine a world where giants walk among us, beings of incomparable strength and size, descendants of a forbidden union between angels and humans. Who were these mysterious Nephilim, and more intriguingly, did they survive Noah's flood? In this video, we will explore the profound and enigmatic theories about the existence of these post-flood giants, discover the secrets hidden in ancient scriptures and apocryphal texts, and see how renowned scholars interpret these fascinating stories. Prepare yourself for a journey through time, where ancient mysteries meet modern interpretations. Are you ready to uncover the truth about the Nephilim? Stay with us and find out. Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 to 4. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. There is great fascination and intrigue surrounding the topic of the Nephilim. Although the Nephilim giants are briefly mentioned in the Genesis narrative, they were the subject of great fascination in later apocalyptic literature, especially the Book of Enoch. The word Nephilim is translated as giants, or fallen ones. They are described in Genesis chapter 6, verse 4, as the mighty men of old, men of renown. The Nephilim are mysterious beings with unusual size and strength. The exact origin of the Nephilim is debated. However, there is a major school of thought that is widely accepted by most biblical scholars. The Nephilim are the offspring of the sons of God, who are fallen angels, and the daughters of men, who were the daughters of Adam. The fallen angels saw how beautiful the daughters of men were and married them in those days, giving rise to a hybrid creature of human and angel called the Nephilim. There are various arguments about the identity of the Nephilim. While there is the view that the sons of God were fallen angels who married the daughters of men, some argue that it is impossible for spiritual beings to have sexual relations with humans. A less spiritual view about the Nephilim says that the sons of God were the descendants of Seth, the third son of Adam. According to this view, the daughters of men were the ungodly daughters of Cain. However, considering the fact that the size and nature of the Nephilim were extremely abnormal, it is difficult to believe that they were purely human descendants. The Nephilim are unquestionably supernatural in nature, and for this reason, the majority of biblical scholars and I hold the view that they were a product of the union between angels and humans. A fascinating question is, did the Nephilim survive Noah's flood? The basis for this question is found in Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. Which states that the Nephilim existed before the flood and also afterward. The Bible explicitly states that Noah's family were the only survivors of the flood. However, we see the Nephilim appearing years after the flood occurred. Numbers chapter 13, verses 32 to 33 mentions the Nephilim again, when the Israelite armies went to spy out the land of Canaan. And they spread among the Israelites a bad report about the land they had explored. They said, The land we explored devours those living in it. All the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the Nephilim there, the descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. There are several lines of thought, but I want to highlight the two most well-known theories about why the Nephilim reappear after the flood. The first school of thought is that these Nephilim seen in the book of Numbers are from another group of angels who came to earth after the flood and committed the same sin as the angels in Genesis chapter 6. However, this is just a theory, as there is no record in the Bible of a second group of angels committing the same sin. Scholars like Michael S. Heiser, in his book, The Unseen Realm, Recovering the Supernatural Worldview of the Bible, explore the idea that the Nephilim reappeared after the flood due to the continuous action of fallen angels. Heiser suggests that the fallen angels, who rebelled against God and corrupted humanity before the flood, could have repeated their actions in later periods. He analyzes the historical and literary context of the Bible, including apocryphal and pseudepigraphal texts like the Book of Enoch, which describes the actions of the fallen angels and their transgressions in detail. According to Heiser, These narratives not only echo the story of Genesis 6, but also suggest that the fallen angels could have continued their corrupting activities throughout human history. Heiser does not specify an exact moment when the fallen angels were reintroduced, but he indicates that the continuous presence of giant beings after the flood suggests that the fallen angels could have descended to Earth again at some point after the flood. He mentions that biblical and extra-biblical texts describe an ongoing battle between divine forces and rebellious angels, which could include new incursions of fallen angels on Earth to corrupt humanity. Heiser uses several biblical passages to justify his theory, including Numbers 13:33. "We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." Deuteronomy 2:10-11. "The Amites used to live there, a people strong and numerous, and as tall as the Anakites. Like the Anakites, they too were considered Rephates, but the Moabites called them Emites." Deuteronomy 2:20-21. That too was considered a land of the Rephates, who used to live there. But the Ammonites called them Zamzumites. They were a people strong and numerous, and as tall as the Anakites. The Lord destroyed them from before the Ammonites, who drove them out and settled in their place. Heiser also relies on the Book of Enoch, which provides a more detailed narrative about the fallen angels and their descendants. The Book of Enoch describes how the fallen angels taught humanity various forbidden arts and generated giants, known as Nephilim. Although the Book of Enoch is not canonical for most Christian traditions, it influenced early Jewish and Christian understanding of the fallen angels and the Nephilim. Heiser's theory about the reappearance of fallen angels after the flood suggests that these beings continued their corrupting activities at different moments in human history, resulting in the continuous presence of giants. Although the Bible does not provide specific details about these reappearances, the combination of biblical and extra-biblical texts offers a basis for this interpretation, highlighting the ongoing struggle between good and evil in the biblical narrative. I invite you to click on the pinned comment below to get the ebook, Revelation, History, Context, and Relevance for Today. This material is produced by the channel and will help you understand some points in the Book of Revelation. Another interpretative line is from scholar Chuck Missler, who, in his book Return of the Nephilim, proposes the genetic transmission theory. This theory suggests that the genes of the Nephilim could have been transmitted through the wives of Noah's sons. According to this theory, while Noah and his sons were genetically pure, the wives of his sons could have carried recessive Nephilim genes. These genes could have then manifested in later generations, resulting in the reappearance of giants. Missler bases his theory on Genesis 6:9, which describes Noah as a just man and perfect in his generations. The word perfect, tamim in Hebrew, can be interpreted as genetically pure. This suggests that Noah's lineage was free from Nephilim genetic contamination. The Bible mentions that Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, entered the ark. And Noah and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives entered the ark to escape the waters of the flood. Genesis 7:7. Missler suggests that while Noah and his sons were genetically pure, their wives might not have been. This opens the possibility that Nephilim genes could have been transmitted through the wives of Noah's sons. This theory suggests that Nephilim genes could have been recessive, meaning they would not manifest immediately, but could emerge in future generations. This would explain the presence of giants in periods following the flood. If the theory is correct, it implies that the Nephilim genetic lineage was not entirely eliminated by the flood. Instead, the genes could have been preserved and transmitted through the wives of Noah's sons, resulting in the re-emergence of giants in certain lineages. The continuous presence of giants in the post-flood biblical narrative could be seen as evidence of persistent genetic contamination in humanity. This could also explain why God instructed the Israelites to exterminate certain tribes of giants during the conquest of Canaan. One criticism of Missler's theory is the lack of direct evidence in the Bible to support the idea that the wives of Noah's sons carried Nephilim genes. The Bible does not explicitly mention the genetic origin of the wives of Noah's sons. The theories about the survival of the Nephilim after Noah's flood are varied and involve complex interpretations of biblical and apocryphal texts. Michael S. Heiser suggests that the fallen angels could have repeated their transgressions after the flood, resulting in the reappearance of the Nephilim in later periods. This theory is supported by the observation of giants in the post-flood biblical narrative, such as the sons of Anak mentioned in Numbers 13:33. On the other hand, Chuck Missler proposes the genetic transmission theory, which suggests that the genes of the Nephilim could have been transmitted through the wives of Noah's sons. According to this theory, these recessive genes could have re-emerged in later generations, resulting in the presence of giants like those described in Deuteronomy 2:20-21, where Moses talks about the destruction of giants known as Zamzumites in the land of Ammon. However, the Bible also suggests that the Nephilim lineage was interrupted by the flood, and that the final destruction of these beings occurred according to God's judgment on the fallen angels. Deuteronomy 2:20-21 tells us that too was considered a land of the Rephates, who used to live there, but the Ammonites called them Zamzumites. They were a people strong and numerous, and as tall as the Anakites. The Lord destroyed them from before the Ammonites, who drove them out and settled in their place. Additionally, Jude 1:6 states that, "And the angels who did not keep their positions of authority but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day." Also, watch the video by clicking on the card on the screen where I talk about the ravenous wolves that try to decimate the Lord's flock. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss content like this. And if you liked it, leave your like. Therefore, despite the fascination and various theories about the Nephilim, the biblical evidence suggests that God judged the fallen angels and interrupted the Nephilim lineage, making it unlikely that any trace of them remains today. God bless.